Something a lot of us simmers have been wanting to see more of in The Sims 4 are festivals. We have a few worlds with festivals, but there are so many places that don't have any neighborhood events at all. So I decided to jump in and take advantage of those missed opportunities by creating my own festival lots for every world where the game doesn't provide one. Today we're on the 64 by 64 Hound's Head lot where I'm building the Brindleton Bay Pet Fest. There aren't many fun places to take your pets in this game, and I love going to events like this in real life, so I figured this would be a great lot to kick off this build series with. These type of events in real life often include activities like dock diving, pet adoptions, dog and cat breed shows, pet costume contests, and other things we don't really have ways to make functional in The Sims. The options for what pets can do in this game are limited, and I wanted there to be plenty of things for your Sims to do when they come here, so I had to get creative with what to put on this lot. Here's the overview of what we're going to be building here. Right now, I'm working on making a little storefront area. It'll have a cat cafe, pet store, vet office, and tavern. Behind the shops, there will be a dog park, agility course, food stall, picnic area, and artisan market. I set this lot as a park, but depending on how you want to use it, you can also set it as a cafe, a retail store, a veterinarian, or bar. I went for a New England small town style for these buildings and tried to use mostly cats and dogs, seasons, and base game when building them. By the end of it, I did wind up using things from other packs though, but the main shells of these are mostly those three. I have such a hard time trying to limit the packs I use when building, and I pretty much always inevitably cave and use things from a bunch of packs. I think the only way I could really force myself to stick to it would be if I actually went in and disabled the packs I wasn't going to use so that they don't even show up as options to tempt me when I'm in the game. But I guess also why limit my builds? On one hand, having limitations could be a fun challenge that would force me to use things in new ways and also make my builds more accessible for people to download. But then on the other hand, it can feel stifling, and I find it fun to see how I can combine things from so many different packs and styles. Plus, I think builds where a lot of packs are used typically look better, but I'm always up for a creative challenge, so I can see both sides to it. What do y'all think? Do you like it when builds have pack limitations, or do you prefer to see builds where anything and everything can be used? If you do want to see limited packs used, what packs would you like to see used together? So this Brindleton Bay Pet Fest is the first lot I'm making with this new build series in mind, but I've actually already created a bunch of other festivals that I think I'll group in with this series too. I did a whole seasonal festival ground series in Windenburg where I was inspired by the festivals from Sims 3 Seasons and created my own versions of those in The Sims 4. I also recently built a metal music festival in Oasis Springs. So with this one, that'll be 6 festival builds already. Clearly, I like creating spaces for events in The Sims. So those ones are all set. Here are some other ideas that I've thought of so far for continuing this series. A Truth Seekers convention would be cool in Strangerville for the conspiracy theorists and cryptozoologists. Maybe a film festival in Del Sol Valley would be good. And a Renaissance fair would be really cool to do somewhere, but I'm not sure where yet. That's as far as I've gotten though, so if you have any ideas for festivals we can make for the worlds that don't have any in-game festivals, I would love to hear them. The shells of the buildings are all done, and I'm moving on to the outdoor space at the back. I really wanted to include those cats and dog statues in this build since they're not something I get to use very much. So I made a fountain and put a couple of them in there. Then for the other ones, I tucked them along the little garden paths I create later on at the sides of the lot. At the very back, I put in an agility course and a dog park. I made sure to fence them both in and even put in a double gate system for getting in and out of those areas. I know it doesn't matter in The Sims because your dogs are always pretty well behaved, But having gates like this would be essential in real life to prevent dogs from accidentally getting loose. I even placed some hooks for leashes along the fence in here. Continuing with the little touches of realism, I put in those stall mucking tools from Horse Ranch and a couple of garbage bins to stand in for the waste bags and scoopers you'd find in a dog park in real life. I think this is the moment where my limited pack idea got completely thrown out the window. It's little touches like these tools that add so much to the realism or story that I'm going for in a build that I immediately cave and add them in. Sure, they're totally unnecessary and probably wouldn't be missed much if they weren't there, but I still have to add them in, otherwise it'll nag at me and feel incomplete. I am not a perfectionist in most aspects of my life, but creative projects are one of the two exceptions. The other one is cooking. Do any of you have a similar experience where you're pretty chill in most areas, but then you have one specific thing you're randomly a perfectionist about? I know it's not just me. In the dog park, I also dug out a little pond. My family always had golden retrievers growing up, and their favorite thing was always swimming in the pond or going to the beach. Also, when my partner and I lived in Georgia, there was this big dog park that had a creek running through it, and I thought that was such a cool feature. So fitting in a bit of water in here was a must. Over on the left side of the lot, I put in 2 food stalls and picnic tables. Later on, I added in playground equipment next to this area too, so that this lot will be functional as a park. This placement will also make it easier for your older Sims to take a break and keep an eye on the kids while they play. There's also a bathroom stall back here, so your Sims don't have to trek all the way up to the front to use the restrooms in one of the buildings. Then on the right side of the lot is where I made the market area. Each of the selling tables will have different pet-themed wares for sale, but we'll see how those turned out at the end. Moving inside, I'm working on the cat cafe here. I went with the cute yellow and green theme for this place. This is actually the second cat cafe I've ever built. I have a larger one on my gallery that I did quite a while ago, but I haven't shared it on YouTube. Thinking of it, maybe I should give it a refresh and make a stop motion build video on it eventually. If you'd be interested in seeing that, let me know. As a counterpart to that build, I also made a dog-friendly brewery, which I did share on YouTube, so that one is available to check out. I've been to plenty of breweries where people bring their dogs, but I've actually never been to a cat cafe. There aren't any close to where I live, and my partner is allergic to cats, so going to one would probably be hell for them. If I do find one, I could go on my own, but I'm not a huge cat person. I do like cats, but I didn't interact with many cats growing up, and I find it difficult to read their body language, so I'm always a bit hesitant with them. With dogs, on the other hand, I've grown up with them, I've worked at shelters, been a foster home, done a dog training program, etc, etc. So I'm pretty confident in my ability to read when a dog is open to being interacted with and when they're feeling nervous or whatever. Cats, however, seem to be much more subtle in their body language, and their feelings about a situation seem to turn on a dime. Like they'll be happy to be pet, but then all of a sudden change their mind, or you touch one specific spot that they hate, and instead of just leaving, they'll bite or scratch. At least that's been the case with many of the cats that I've been around. I have known like 1 or 2 super friendly, chill cats, but they've been the minority. All that to say, I'm just a bit unsure about them and pretty much tend to leave them be unless they come up to me, because I just don't want to make them uncomfortable. If they are friendly, I'll give them a few gentle, slow strokes on their head, then back off and leave it on a positive note and just appreciate them from a distance. I probably sound ridiculous to all of the cat people out there, so if you are also someone who likes cats yet feels intimidated by them, please back me up. And if you are a cat pro, give me your proper cat etiquette tips, for I am but a humble human trying to make sure I am in their good graces. For this cafe, the barista counter is downstairs, along with some seating areas and a little window cubby thing where the Shire cats can hang out. Upstairs there's more seating, a bunch of cat trees, and the restroom is up here too. I did make this lot a cat hangout, so there should be some cats roaming around the place. It may be fun to bring your Sims cats to hang out here too. I know that's not how these places function in real life, and real cats typically don't like traveling, but it seems like a fun thing to do in The Sims. There are plenty of places that make sense to bring your Sims dogs out to, but not really any that make sense for cats, but a cafe like this could fill that void, even if it's not that realistic. Though I did have a friend whose cat liked taking walks on their leash. So maybe we can say Sims cats are all just abnormally adventurous. The blue building next to the cat cafe is the pet store. The first floor has a bunch of pet supplies your Sims can shop for, then upstairs I put in all the small animals we got in my first pet stuff. The windows from the cafe were clipping a bit in here, and I didn't want to change them for smaller ones, so I just covered up those parts with the cabinets behind the checkout counter and the pillar thing I built behind the stairs. I love checking out local pet boutiques every time I travel, so building one in The Sims was fun. Usually you'll just have 1 or 2 pet items here or there in Sims homes, so as an animal lover, seeing all the different pet stuff laid out together makes me happy. We don't have as many actual pets in The Sims 4 as we did in previous iterations, so I did my best to fill in this space with all the pet-like things we do have in the game. Over here I added in a couple of fish aquariums and frog tanks. All the plants by that table are meant to be the live aquatic plants that you can get for your fish tanks. I also put in some bottles and jars to act as the different additives and stuff for aquariums. Underneath the table I stored the cleaning and other supplies needed for taking care of the animal habitats. Having worked at a pet store myself, making sure that stuff is easily accessible in each area is important. On the shelves in this aquatics area, I put some frog tanks. These shelves only fit 2 tanks for some reason, so I had to use the OMSP wall shelf to custom place more tanks on them. I will never understand why the shelves in this game have so few slots on them and so few items fit on the couple that they do have. I can overlook it with really old items, but these shelves are from the Blooming Rooms kit, which is fairly recent. Come on, Sims team, you're well aware this is an issue players have. You can do better. Along this wall, I put in the other pet-like things we have. I placed a few of the bug tanks, the live space alien collectibles, and those cow plant terrariums. They're all a far cry from the birds and reptiles we had in The Sims 3, but they're what we've got. I wanted a way to incorporate these small animals we got from my first pet stuff in this festival, and including them in this pet store was all that really made much sense. It would have been so cool if those wall decals that came in the pack were actual tubes that they could run through, or if we had little hamster balls that they could use to roam around the floor. If so, then I could have set up some sort of a maze thing for Sims to have their little critters do and then pretend it was timed for prizes or something. Alas, the small pets are pretty much just decorative, which is such a shame. Seeing as they broke them out into their own pack, you'd think that they would have spent at least a little bit more time fleshing out the gameplay options with them, but no. Besides the hamster tubes and ball, I would have loved to see different styles of cages, the ability to customize their cages with different enrichment activities and stuff, options to sit and play with them with multiple Sims, and the ability to train them to do things, especially for the rats. If we were going to be so limited with the small animals, there's so much more they could have done with them. Yeah, disappointing, but we'll just move on and pretend that we can have our Sims hang out up here, playing with the different little critters and buy them special treats to take home. Moving back outside, I'm starting on the landscaping now. Figuring out the layout for the vet office and fitting in all those big items was a bitch and a half, so I am not gonna make you suffer through watching that. Plus, I doubt you'll be using this lot for a vet office or a tiny tavern, so we'll just look at the finished results of those in the tour at the end. Also, I'm feeling burnt out on a bunch of stuff lately, so the extra video editing and scripting and voiceover work that those areas would take, I don't need it right now, so we're gonna skip ahead. Even after putting in all the activities on the slot, there was still lots of empty space, so I filled a bunch of it up with plenty of trees. I used many of the same trees you see around the world so that this lot will blend in well with the rest of Brindleton Bay. I personally have a bunch of dogs, so when I think about going out with them, it's pretty much always going to be somewhere outside. So I wanted there to be lots of nice, naturey space out here to enjoy with your pets. On the left and right sides of the lot, I made some little walking paths as a sort of scenic route to take to get to the back. The other statues are tucked in there along with some benches. I'm sure the rest of the festival would be pretty noisy and busy with all the Sims and pets, so these areas would be a nice, quiet spot to get away from it all. To make this lot functional as a park, I had to add in a couple of chess tables and playground equipment, so you'll get a peek at both of those here. The last bit I'll be working on camera is putting in some landscaping around the trees. I kept it pretty relaxed by using lots of tall grasses mixed in with blue flowers. You'll see me putting in some orange and yellow flowers too, but it ended up looking way too busy, so in the end I went through and swapped out a bunch of the flowers. I'm not gonna make you watch me put in a ton of landscaping that I end up ripping out and changing, so let's just go ahead and jump right into the tour so you can see how it all turned out. Here we are at the annual Brindleton Bay Pet Fest, the ideal event for all your animal lover Sims. When you arrive, you come to these adorable storefronts, then all the festival stuff is set up in the backfield. Let's take a look at the shops first. Here is our cheery cat cafe. This little room at the front is where the shyer cats can hang out on their own. The litter box is also in there. I decorated with a bunch of the paintings your Sims can make in-game, both in this cafe as well as the other buildings. So if you see any art that you're unfamiliar with, that's probably what it is. Upstairs is where the cats are really running the place. They've got all their cat trees up here, and I hung up a bunch of shelves to pretend like they're for the cats to walk around on. They've also got food and toys up here too. Yeah, the cats are really going to be living it up in here. Next door is the pet shop. I went with blue, orange, and dark woods in here. All of our pretend pets are down here. I even included those moss balls you see in every pet store's aquarium section. Upstairs are the small animals and a little seating area where you can spend time with your new little friends before taking them home. These shelves have all the different hay, bedding, and chew treats for them. I had space at the back, so I put in an employee area. Across the way is the veterinarian. Having a 2-story vet office would be terrible, and it's small, but I really like the colors in here and it looks quite cute still. There's an exam room, lab room, and restroom on both floors. I made sure to include bathtubs in both, so if your dog gets smelly while you're here, this is where you can come to clean them up. The last building is a little tavern. I ran out of pet-themed businesses to add in here, so I figured a bar would be nice to have. Plus, some bars let you bring in your dogs, so this still kind of works. I went with a sort of nautical theme in here with lots of light, worn woods. It definitely fits in with the seaside town aesthetic of Brindleton Bay at least. To get to the back, you can either walk straight through this pretty alleyway thing. It's got a very gorgeous view. Or you can take the scenic route by meandering through these little trails. There's one on each side of the lot. There's some sculptures to check out, quiet spots to sit and watch the birds, as well as some scratching posts for the cats. Over here are the selling stands. There's one for pet treats and one for pet themed art. This one has pet toys, and then the last one I left blank so that you have an open spot in case your sim wants to sell their own stuff here. Behind it, we have the dog park and agility course. Over in the back corner is the playground and some extra bathrooms. So there's stuff for your little human animals to do here too. And then right next to it is the picnic area with the food stalls. And that's the whole festival. Let's go find a nice spot by the fountain to close things out. I am really excited about this new build series, and I think it'll help bring some more life and community to all the worlds that don't have their own in-game events. So if you have any ideas for what type of festival or what world you want to see us build in next, definitely let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to send a like my way. I've got plenty more builds coming, so if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Remember, be kind to yourself today, and I'll see you next time.